This weekend I did lots of driving, and during my driving I was listening to a podcast that was about AI, and this podcast probably is very famous. It's Diary of CEO by Stephen Bartlett, and the title of the podcast is Brain Expert Warning. Watch this before using ChatGPT again. Shocking new discovery. So they start with a study done by the MIT. This study states that there is a 47% drop in brain activity for people that fully use AI to replace themselves. So whenever they use a prompt that is too generic, that simplifies too much the actual work, you are actually damaging your brain. So I think this is very important for whatever is your job, whatever you're doing. So make sure you do a good use of AI. And in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about what I think should be the way to use AI, what is the way I generally use AI, and also if you struggle to use AI in that way, what I have created is the concept of prompt filter. I don't know if I'm creating the concept, but I call it prompt filter. And the point is to use a filter whenever you put a prompt that will support you in asking the right question or shaping the right prompt instead of giving you the answer immediately. So now, before looking at the prompt, I want to clarify what is the problem with the bad use of AI, but I invite you to spend a couple of hours to watch the podcast.
And then this study came out from MIT. It was 54 participants who were recruited from 5 universities in Boston, MIT, Harvard, etc. And they had the participants split into 3 groups, had them writing different essays over, I think it was 4 months. One group used ChatGPT, one group used Google, and one group had no tools. And astonishingly, MIT found a 47% collapse in activity and brain connections when people wrote with ChatGPT compared with writing unaided. What does a good relationship look like?
That you don't use it to do your work. You interact with it to get better work.
You're going to find the link to the podcast down in the description. So why this is bad? Because let me give you first an example of an incorrect prompt. So let's say you want to write a blog post, and this blog post is about a specific topic, and you just say to the AI, generate a full blog post about topic X, and then few seconds after you're gonna have a full blog post, right? Probably you don't even read it, you copy paste, you publish it. Is it gonna work? Maybe, but the problem is that one, you have done zero effort in writing that blog post. If people ask you questions, you don't know how to answer. Obviously you can ask an AI to answer for you, but then think a little bit, what is your role in this? You're just copy pasting from one system to the other, and that work is not really representing you. So it's not your ideas, not your thoughts. So the idea here is to interact with AI as a way to brainstorm and to elevate your thinking. So especially if you don't know, if you have gaps in your knowledge or you want to understand a bit more, you can start from that topic, and then you can see what is the message that you want to send. After reading your blog post, how the reader should feel, what are you trying to communicate? It's not just to have more clicks, right? So start from that and start having a conversation with ChatGPT, with an AI, an LLM, and when you have that conversation, you go back and forth trying to understand what is your opinion. And at the end of that conversation, and trust me, when you have a deep conversation with an LLM, you will consume lots of energy. You will feel very tired at the end. So the point is exactly that. That feeling of tiredness is your brain. It's your brain working. So in that moment, you are building and you're making your neural network stronger. And only after that exercise, you can use a prompt that says, now generate the full blog post considering this aspect and highlighting my thinking on this topic. So you can refer to all the entire conversation, pieces of the conversation that you had with the LLM. And then at that point, you have something that belongs to you. And the way you're using AI at that point is something that elevates your thinking. You are just replacing your colleague maybe, or someone that you used to have conversation, which is a little bit sad to be honest, but not always you can find people that can talk to you about every single topic. So that use of AI is 100% what I think it should be used for. And that's what I do on a daily basis. I try to understand, go deep on a topic and see if there is an angle that I'm not seeing at the moment. So this is true for coding as well. So whenever you code and you say, generate an application that does X, all the code that will be generated, one, in my experience, is never good quality code is always code that is missing very important concepts. So it's amazing for having a prototype to show something that works or an idea. It's okay. You can show that. I can see lots of videos of people saying, oh no, I made millions by generating this with my prompt and then published directly in production. If you look at that code, I'm 100% sure it's not going to be good quality code, and probably there will be lots of vulnerabilities. So what I have created is a prompt filter. I'm gonna share a little bit about the structure of the prompt filter. So it starts like this, saying, act as my prompt supervisor, prompt filter. Your primary goal is to help me maximize my brain abilities, enhance my critical thinking, promote deep learning, and so on and so forth. And then there are some core directives. For example, there is filter damaging request. If my prompt is generic, overly simplistic, or suggests that I'm delegating cognitive load instead of actively thinking, you must not generate a direct solution. And it should also come back to you with this is a damaging request and give you some instructions. So the directive number 2 is educate and guide. So when identifying a damaging request, explain why it is detrimental to my brain health. So I'm gonna go fast on this because you can download the prompt down in the description. And finally, there is initiate brainstorming and deeper engagement. So this is the part where you can start that conversation, and then only at the end you can say generate this. So at the end there is also an example similar to the one I mentioned about the application that solves problem X. So now if you struggle with prompt engineering and you don't know how to structure that, or you need some guidance, you can try this prompt. You can download it, and what you need to do, if you have ChatGPT, I think only the paid version offers you the ability to give instructions, create projects. What you can do, you can go and click on projects, add instructions. When you add instructions, you drop this prompt, and then you try every single request using this specific project to see. Obviously, you can change a little bit the examples and to be more specific, but the point is trying to leverage AI to elevate ourselves instead of damaging ourselves or damaging our brain. So next time you use ChatGPT or any other LLM, make sure you are engaging your brain and make sure you are doing some deep thinking and growing your abilities. We don't want to have AI replacing humans. So I hope you liked this video. Let me know if you have questions down in the comment. Remember, you can download the prompt filter down in the description, and see you next time. Bye!